Hey parents, how y'all doing today? Happy Wednesday. It's your girl Sharita, and I got a good one for y'all today. Okay, we're going to talk about passive parenting. Don't be a passive parent. Your kids need you to be strong for them. And like I always say, it's no judgment here, okay? I'm not on here to judge parents. Tell you what you're doing wrong. That's not what I do, because I'm a parent myself. And let me tell you, I've been through it, okay? I've been through it, okay? Here, we're empowering moms. I'm here to empower you, moms. Here to empower you, dads, to take your kids back, okay? Take your kids back and help them, equip them, so that they can be the champions they were always meant to be. All right, but we can't do that when we're being timid, passive parents. Okay, let me tell you what that looks like. A passive parent is a parent who wants the best for their child. You know what I'm saying? And they're showing up, but when their child shows resistance, or when their child gets out of control, they kind of put their hands up and they step back, and they're worried about pushing too much. They're worried about demanding too much, or having high expectations. You understand what I'm saying? So they kind of put their hands back, and then there's a wall between them and their child. They're trying to study their child. They're trying to observe their child. They're trying to understand what is going on. What do I need to do? But from 5 steps back, okay? I understand this. I've been through this stage as a parent, especially since I have a background in mental health. I was a mental health specialist, right? Before I became a mama, I was a mental health specialist, okay? And so one of the biggest mistakes I made as a parent is to try to parent like a mental health specialist. That was one of the biggest mistakes I made. There's a place for it. As a mental health specialist, you know, we did, me and my coworkers, we did our thing. Okay, we were great at what we did. But when you are a parent, that's different. You can't parent your child therapeutically. Okay, there's a whole it's a whole different situation. First of all, your parents know, or your kids know you. They know you. Like my mom says, they know you like the back of their hands, okay? They know you, okay? They know what buttons to push. They know when to push. They know when you tired and overwhelmed, and how to keep pushing and keep asking over and over, or whining over and over till they get their way. You don't get a break. You understand what I'm saying? It's different when it's not your own kids. As a mental health specialist and a special education teacher, I work with my students. I work with our patients, right? Then they went home. You understand what I'm saying? But as a parent, you don't get a break. You're on call all the time. Even if they're in school during the day, mentally, you are on call all day. Mentally, emotionally, your spirit is with that child. You understand? I remember my daughter fell and hurt herself at school, and my leg was hurting all day. My leg was hurting. I'm like, what is wrong with my leg? In the front of my leg, the shin part, it was hurting all day. And then when I picked my daughter up from school, she had hurt her leg when she was out on the playground. It scraped the front of her shin in the same place. You understand what I'm saying? It's the difference. It's so different being a mom. So it's easier to get overwhelmed. It's easier to panic. Y'all be panicking, and I'm not just saying y'all, like I've been through it too, right? Y'all be panicking, right? You jump in too quickly to help. You respond to every little, discomfort. You're there. And so that makes it more difficult for you when your child is failing, when your child their behavior is out of control. You're like panicking and you're like, feel like I must solve this. I have to take care of this. What do I do? What do I do? And then you start to say, what's wrong with my child? And do I need to get my child tested? And a lot of parents, they move to that stage really quickly. Because you're not seeing a change, and it's stressful. You understand what I'm saying? So it's different, but be careful, because some of our kids, I'm gonna be real with you, they need us to get in their faces. I'm gonna be so real with you. Like, everything can't be handled therapeutically, and everything can be handled gently. And I'm not saying nothing about gentle parenting, but what I'm saying is, there's a time for everything and a place for everything. There's a situation, for every situation. That's how we have to respond. We have to customize our responses to our kids. So passive parenting is you're worried about your child, but you don't know what to do. So you remove yourself, you step back, and then you see your child struggling more, and you're trying to figure out what to do from a distance, though. And you might not think it's a distance, but there is a distance when you step back. Let me tell y'all something that I saw on Facebook. I saw this little girl, right? She must have been like 11 years old. She must have been angry, right? She was in the store. It looked like kind of like a Walmart store. I'm not sure where she was, but that's what it looked like. And she was walking from shelf to shelf, taking things off the shelf and throwing them on the floor, right? Taking things off, throwing them on the floor. She looked calm, but she looked like she was angry. And I work with kids for over 20 years. She had in her mind, I'm gonna tear this store up, and I'm just gonna keep doing it, right? Next thing you know, there's a crowd around her. People recording. You understand what I'm saying? This is where I have a problem. This is our society nowadays. We're passive in the way that we guide our children, and in the way that we set rules and standards for our children. We have low standards, and we're passive, but we're quick to record them. That's where I have a problem. And then she picked up a bottle. It looked like one of those, the apple cider, sparkling apple cider that you get for the kids around holidays, right? I drink it too. So she took it and threw it on the floor. It's crashed. The liquid all over everywhere. Everybody's like, oh my God, take another one. Slam it on the floor. Crash, right? And then somebody said, don't touch her. Don't touch her. Leave her alone. Don't touch her. And then someone else said, don't record her. You don't know. She's probably going through something. She's probably been through trauma, right? Here's the problem. This is how we're not only passive parenting, but we're also being passive adults, right? In this society. How did we let her get to the point where she was angry, to she throwing stuff off the shelves, to get to the point where there's a crowd around her, there are people recording her, and she's able to take a bottle and slam it on the floor and do that more than once? What are we doing? How are we letting our kids destroy property and destroy themselves? Because best believe that's what she was doing. She was destroying herself. She was harming herself. She was getting so out of control that there was a crowd around her and there are people around recording. She is not safe. And I keep telling y'all, when kids do these behaviors, right, and they get out of control, they don't feel good. Why do we keep letting our kids get to that point? Why do we keep doing that? Because we have grown into a passive society when it comes to our kids and passive parents. See, but there's a difference between society, right, and the adults that be around watching and always have something to say. I call them part-time opinions, right? For the parents, that's your child. So as a parent, you feel like that my child's failure is my failure, right? If my child is doing this behavior, it looks bad for them, but it looks bad for me. As parents, you are invested in your child. You understand what I'm saying? But the rest of the adults, there's no village because nobody wants to take responsibility. Nobody wants to adult. You understand what I'm saying? Nobody wants to, every time someone says that we should have rules, we should have standards, we should push our kids to do better, then there's a crowd of people that always have something to say against that. I've been criticized many times in the comment section just for saying, teach your child how to sit down. Have them practice every day. Because people think that it's not possible, and people think for a child to improve their focus and be able to sit, and feel like I'm attacking kids with ADHD. So they get upset with me for saying we need to do this as a society. We need to do this so that our kids can go into the classroom and be able to sit down and learn. And a teacher doesn't have to focus on managing behavior all day, but teaching your child. So people get upset with me for saying things like that. But not knowing that I've worked with kids with ADHD for years and have helped them improve their focus and also sitting and following through and working and completing their work and working independently, improving their grades. So I know it's possible, but nobody wants to. Everybody's so invested in the idea that our kids can't do better and we have to help them and we have to put this in place for them and this resource for them. We have to focus on making sure they get an IEP and making sure, and we're doing all of those things. We're making sure we get them diagnosed. We're making sure we get the medication. We're making sure that we get them an IEP. We're making sure we do all of these things to support our kids, but none of us is saying that you must do this. This is not tolerated. This is not allowed. Sit down. Nobody's saying that. And this is don't be a passive parent, okay? Because you have to, when the rest of the world is saying, don't be tough on your child. Take it easy on him. He's just a kid. Maybe he has something he's dealing with. And they're encouraging you to let him or her lose control and be like the child in the store tearing up the store, right? You have to understand that if you don't get your child together and if you don't make sure that they are have self-control and self-discipline, then the outside world is going to eat them up. I was talking yesterday when I was on here. I've seen kids when they have to get security called because they tearing up a classroom. I've seen kids get so upset that they screaming at the top of their lungs. And oh my goodness, what that must feel like for them on the inside with their nervous system. They need somebody to be like, hey, get over here. We're not doing that. When I was a mental health specialist, we were trained to do restraints, okay? If a child got too out of hand, so they'll be in the class, the group room. If they got up and threw a chair or kicked a table or started throwing markers across, you know, we knew what to do. We went in there and grabbed them, pulled them out of the room, right? And then we had a room that we would take them to so they couldn't hurt themselves or anyone else, Okay? And as a mental health specialist, I had to do this plenty of times, right? For kids that was coming into the program. But you have to understand, when a child is able to physically get out of control to the point where they are flying, like they're screaming, they are cursing, they're saying whatever they want to say, they can pick up something, they can throw something, and it starts young. If they little and they doing this, you gotta nip this in the bud when they're young, in the butt when they're young, right? If they are doing that and they're doing that over and over and over, it becomes like that they're now in a cycle. And it gets worse and worse for them. And it's like automatic, boom, this is what I do. This is how I can get to this point, 0 to 60, really quickly. Because, and guess what? I don't even have control over it. A lot of kids, when they get to that point, they do things that later on they regret. Because they've gotten so used to getting to that point. Okay? When we physically remove them from the room, we interrupted that cycle. Nobody should be like, don't touch her, and let a kid tear up a store, and to the point where now they are taking bottles and smashing them on the store, and everybody's around recording. She should have been removed from that store right where she started. No, baby girl, we're not gonna let you destroy yourself in front of everybody like that. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And the reason that parents are passive parenting nowadays is because there's so much criticism on parents whenever parents do try to be strong or be stern with their kids or consequence their kids. Somebody always has something to say. The problem is when you're so worried about what people might say as a parent, and you're so worried about the pushback and resistance of your child, and you're so worried about doing it wrong, that you start to become a passive parent. And when you become a passive parent, two things are happening. One, your child is like, oh, I can get away with this. All I have to do is this. I'm going to put this on repeat. I'm going to put this joke on repeat. I'm going to do the same thing over and over again. The other thing is, when your child's behavior is getting worse and worse, they are wanting you to rescue them, but they don't know how or what that means. They want you to rescue them. They do not like being like that. They don't like it. So they don't know how to stop it. Once your child is in that cycle, in the behavior cycle where they're doing it, it might not be as extreme as what I'm talking about right now, but if they're in the behavior cycle and the behavior is impeding their growth, getting in the way of their academic success, they feel like a failure all the time, they're always getting in trouble, right? Once they're in a cycle and they're doing the same thing over and over, they cannot pull themselves out of it. They don't know how. And it's going to take for parents to stop being passive, stop looking and observing your child from over here and trying to put things in place for them and thinking that's going to fix it, but instead sit down with your knees together and talk to them, and let them know that this is not going down like this. It's not going down like this. I'm the parent. This is how it's going down. These are the consequences. And when your child tests and when they push back, you have to stay strong. You have to stay strong, because when kids do that, when you put consequences in place and they fight the consequences, it's because they feel a little loss of control. They're trying to get it back. They're trying to see if you mean what you say. They're trying to see if you're going to stick to it. They're going to try to see if they can get out of it. You have to stand strong. You can't be passive. You cannot be passive. So, because when they go into the school, when they go into the classroom, they're going to do the same thing in the classroom, but it's going to be, it might be worse, because there's a lot of kids in the class and the teacher can't give them one-on-one attention. The teacher can't get them together. You have to do it. right? And I'm not saying this, listen, as a parent myself, I have had this talk with myself. So I'm not over here bashing parents. I'm not going to sit up here. I'm not going to get in here and bash a parent. I'm not going to get in here and bash a teacher, because I've been a parent and a teacher. Okay? I was a special education teacher, and I'm also a parent. And so I know what it's like. I'm telling you what I had to tell myself, like, Sharita, you got to do it. You got to do it. I had to tell myself. You cannot let your child get out of control so much, and you're standing there trying to figure them out, but you're afraid to be a parent. Follow your intuition, your intuition. Follow your intuition, and stay strong and stern. Have a goal for your child, right? Put a plan in place for them, and stay on them. Don't give up. Don't give up. I'm so tired of seeing videos of kids completely losing control and the parent struggling, and then they just focus on their diagnosis. Because let me tell you something, whether your child, and this is what I tell parents who enroll their kids into my tutoring coaching program, right? Whether your child has ADHD or not, they still need to learn how to sit, and they still need to learn how to get started on their work and get on task when they're told. They still need to learn how to follow directions. You understand what I'm saying? They still need to learn how to focus. And listen, I don't just say this. I use strategies that help kids with ADHD and improve their focus. Be able to focus on one thing instead of everything at the same time. Be able to sit during the class. And people think, and this is where y'all get mad at me, y'all think that I'm making the kids sit during class, and it's so hard for them and it's so terrible for them because they have ADHD. Man, them kids, that's not what's happening. They be in class and they be engaged in the class. They be working. When I tell them to work, it's all right, it's time to write. All right, it's time to get started. Click on that link. I got this quiz for you. Get started on it. And I could look up, and then they just looking at the screen, and then they just doing their work. If they have a writing assignment, they looking at the screen and they writing. And if I have something that's not on task, then I do what I do. I had 2 students in the class in my program who, when they was coming to class, was decided I'm going to play around, not do what I'm supposed to do, and disrupt the class and not work when I was told. And now both of them are doing what they're supposed to do and earning more points. And yesterday, my student, who it was time for break, because he has a 2-hour class with me. It was time for break, and I told him, we'll do this when we come back. And he said, can I just finish this question first? Okay? So I'm not sitting up here lying. I'm not sitting up here judging parents. I'm not sitting up here telling y'all things that I'm not doing myself. I'm not doing that. I'm telling you that your child can do way better than you think they can. Don't believe the hype. And when you put the structure in place and you raise those standards, then your child will start to grow. Okay? They absolutely will. And they feel better about themselves, okay, when they do. Because I showed him yesterday, he made purple level. And I showed him, we did, a nice little image and included the students. And he was so proud of himself. And he said, thank you. You know what I'm saying? And he told me, he said, my mom showed me that, right? They are happier when they have self-control. But from working now with kids, and also from working with kids over the years, a special education teacher also, who had kids in there before I became a certified special education teacher, and I was just a substitute, and I had a special education class. And when I went in there, they was tearing up the class, running out the class, cursing at teachers, needing security to come and bring them out of class and all this other stuff. I was like, I'm not calling security. Y'all gonna sit down. And the kids that their behavior is the most out of control and you are the toughest on them, they appreciate it and they are the most loyal, in my experience, working with kids all these years. Because they couldn't do it themselves. They didn't know what success would feel like. They didn't think they could get there. They didn't believe in themselves. But you believed in themselves. You believed in them enough to get in their face. And that's a form of love. So if you're a parent and you feel like you got to get in your child's face when they try to get too disrespectful, don't do what they supposed to do, right? And they in school giving the teacher a hard time, have standards for your child. Don't feel bad about having standards and expectations. Don't feel bad about when they come home, instead of them playing that game, they got to write about what happened at school. And they got to process it out. They got to read it in front of you. They got to edit it. They have to fix the spelling. They got to do a rough draft and a final draft. They got to write an apology letter to the teacher. Don't feel bad about that. Because they need you to do that. Or else they're going to go to school and they're going to do the same thing every single time they go to school. And they're going to get worse and worse and worse. And worse and worse and worse is not what you want. Because you look in a child's face who's been doing things like that for a long time, they are gone. They are not, they have disconnected from themselves. It's only their behavior. It's only their behavior. And you got to pull them on back. So no more parenting from a few steps away and making excuses. And I'm saying is, listen, I'm not trying to judge. I'm saying as parents, this is what we do. This is what we do sometimes. It's because my child is tired. It's because my child didn't sleep good. When they don't sleep good, this is how they act, and they're irritable. It's because my child didn't have their medication. It's because my child doesn't like writing. It's because my child doesn't like people to yell at them. It's because it's because nothing. I've been there as a parent. And you know how I've been there as a parent? It's because my daughter was born at 32 weeks. I had preeclampsia and my daughter was born in 32 weeks and was in the hospital for a month. So you know I had excuses. You know that's my baby, right? That's my firstborn. You understand what I'm saying? I felt guilty as a mom that she even had to go through that. I cried when she had her first fever. So you know I had excuses. I'm telling y'all the excuses that either I've said myself or I've heard parents say over the years. But you know what? When you're working with Miss Sharita, like, I don't let them excuses fly. And I would tell your child, whether you tired or not, you need to sit properly. And then I got to tell y'all this story. I don't think y'all parents know this. I don't think for parents who your child is in school sleeping, your teacher has told you about they're in school sleeping during class. They put their heads down, they sleep, right? And you're trying to figure out what's going on. Like maybe they're not sleeping enough. They be up too late, so you try to make sure they're not up too late playing the game and stuff like that. When they come home from school, you're like, okay, take a nap now so you're not tired later or tired of school. You're doing all this other stuff. Your kids be faking. I'm trying to tell y'all. Y'all kids be in school faking. All right? I've seen it over the years plenty of times. I'm not saying no kid is ever tired in class, but I'm going to tell y'all, see, because y'all be trying to be mad with me, I'm going to tell y'all the real deal Holyfield. So here's the thing. If your child is in school sleeping, there's a big chance they are sleeping or pretending to sleep because they don't want to do the work. There's a huge chance. Okay? There's a huge chance. So, I've been working with kids for years, and I'm nosy. Like, I pay attention to everything. Even though it's a virtual program, like they know I'm all in their business. I pay attention to everything. So what your kids be doing is, and that's the passive parent I'm talking about. You're like trying to figure out the situation, trying to figure out what's happening, what you need to do, but from over here and not really paying attention to them. And then let them know, stop playing, right? Because they be in class and then we be talking and everything. Because I always ask my student, how was your day? What was good about your day? What happened? What's been going on with you? So we always talk to each other, right? And then now it's time to do the work. All of a sudden, right? You go to sleep. As soon as the assignment is given, they in there doing all of this. They really put a lot into it. They be acting, right? So one of my students was doing that. And then I was like, let me just record so-and-so. I'm not going to say his name, of course. Let me just record so-and-so so his mom could see him fake sleeping in class. And he was like this. And then he popped his eye open. He popped one eye open as soon as I said that, right? So then, because I'm like this, I said, so now you got two choices. Because I will narrate a child's behavior, okay? I will talk about what they're doing instead of trying to be on the outside, figuring them out and trying to put things in place to help them and what kind of help they need. Because I teach my students to help themselves. Function independently, take initiative, do what you're supposed to do, be a champion, all right? Do your best, all right? So I said, so now you know you caught. So now you got two options. One, you want to do one or two things. Either you're going to keep pretending to sleep so that it could look like you were asleep all along, and you're going to really put a lot into it to really act like you were sleeping, or you're going to stop playing and then be awake because now you caught, right? So let's see which one you're going to do. But I got the camera on him. I never showed his mom the video though. I be messing with my students, but the thing is, that's what be on his mind. That's what would have happened if they caught that one thing or two things that happened. They'll really play it up and really act like they're really asleep. Like, you're saying I'm not asleep, but I really am. And they'll really play it up, or they'll, stop playing and then, focus and do what they're supposed to do, right? And so, what my student ended up doing, for the first 10 seconds, he tried to keep it up. But he realized that the charade is over. There's no point to it anymore. You understand what I'm saying? And then he just started doing his work. And then later on, I told him, I said, don't sleep in my class. If you sleep in my class and you don't do my work, then all I'm going to do is I'm going to text your mama, and I'm going to ask her if you could stay for an extra hour to make up this time. And that's why the parents in my program, I say that they're my BFFs. I would text them in a minute, but I will text them and be like, hey, I need them for some more time. Can I get some more time with them? You know what I'm saying? And I said, I won't even charge your mama for it. And he didn't want that. So either you use your time now, or you use extra time later. But either way, you're going to do my work, and you're not going to be sleeping in my class. And then I'll tell them, I say, every time you come to class, if you want to pretend like you sleep, because we're not playing no more. If you're tired, what should you do? It's now your responsibility to stay awake in the class. So you got to do that. So every time you come to class, you could choose to go to sleep, and then you could just stay for an extra hour and get the work done. You know what I'm saying? And how long you want to keep this up. So that's what I did with him. And then if I have a younger student, I had a younger student who was pretending to sleep. And then I made a cute little joke, because I do that with the kids too, the younger kids. Make a cute little joke that they all laugh at and they all want to be a part of. So she was pretending to sleep. And then when I said that, she opened her eyes all wide and stuff. So then I had to bust, all right, so you pretending to sleep. You understand what I'm saying? They be faking. So before don't be so what I'm saying about passive parenting, don't throw your hands up and go back and then try to figure out your child from a distance and what makes sense and what does society say and about what your child is doing and who your child is. Man, forget that. Throw all that out the window and just look at your child, talk to them real, be a real person with them, let them know you don't play, keep your standards in place, and learn your child, because their behaviors have meaning. That it's a form of communication, right? So that's number one. All right, understanding their cycle, their behavior cycle. Number one is a form of communication. Number two, it has a purpose. There's a reason they're doing it. They're trying to avoid something. They're trying to get you to do something, right? They're trying to get everybody to focus on them for a specific reason. And number three, it needs an audience to survive. So when their behavior, right? Because we're going to separate the behavior from the child. Okay, your child's behavior is not your child, right? So when you think about that, is you can't be a passive parent, because that's the type of audience you're being. You're stepping back and you're trying to help, but you're trying to figure your child out from a distance. Meanwhile, your child's behavior is getting worse and worse and worse, right? So you can't be a passive parent. You can't be that type of audience. You can figure out your role, right, in the cycle, and figure out, how should I react to this, so that my child has to take ownership of their own behavior and they have to move forward. Okay? And don't be afraid to raise the standards. Don't be afraid to give a consequence. Don't be afraid to make them right. Your child should be writing every day. They should be writing expressive writing, creative writing, you know what I mean? Different writing prompts, but they also should be writing to process their feelings. They should be doing conflict resolution through writing. They should be working every day. That's growth. Okay? So don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid of giving a consequence, okay? And if your child is in school and you get a call from the teacher, oh, they need to write. You need to write, honey. You have to explain this and figure this out, okay? And I always have lots of questions, so my students have to write at least 5 sentences for some at least 6 sentences, but a lot of them write more than that. But the writing, that's the beginning. That's the beginning of them even understanding their own behavior, and why, right? But then I have a follow-up question, and we're not having a conversation just back and forth and me doing a lot of work trying to pull information from them. This has to be something where they are growing. So every time I ask a question, they write about it first. And when I come back to them, they're going to read what they wrote. And you'll be amazed at how much self-reflection happens, how many times kids solve their own problems, how many times kids understand the situation better, can see the whole picture instead of just their version of it. You'll be amazed about that, about how much writing can help them take ownership and responsibility for their own behavior, right? So it's tons of things that as parents we can do. I want y'all to feel empowered that you can do, just like your kids can do so much more than you think they can, or society thinks they can. Don't worry about the rest of society, what they thinking. Don't worry about that, right? But you as the parent, you can do so much more. You're very influential, but you're also key, right? You're also the foundation. You're also their safe place. You're also the place where they feel like they could dump everything. You know what I mean? That could be good or bad, depending on how they're using it, right? So you are very important. And you have to understand how important you are and how much you can absolutely do for your child. You don't have to be a passive parent, being unsure and just doing what you think you should do and observing your child from a distance and trying to figure out your child. You can look at your child as that's your baby. That's your child. And then you'll be able to catch when they playing around or they trying to manipulate, And when they're and differentiate that for between their, when they're trying to manipulate and just trying to avoid things, you'll be able to see when they truly do need you, what they truly need. You'll be able to see that. But a lot of you, there's a cloud blocking what your child needs you to actually do for them, and you're over helping. You're over helping, and you are trying to get all the support for your child. You're focusing on that, and there's nothing wrong with support, but your child still needs high accountability from you. They still need you to be tough on them and strong on them. If they're the type of child that's always trying to be tough and strong with you and always pushing and resistant, you understand, and giving you a hard time when you're trying to get them together, like, you got to be stronger. And you can be. You can be. We will no longer be in here having our kids tearing up places, losing control, screaming in public, and then everybody sitting around just criticizing the parent. But you're going to be criticizing the parents either way. I realize that. Everybody just criticize the parents, got your phones out. You tell yourself, not my child. Not my child. Because as soon as you go in that store and they want to act like they got a problem because they want something, you won't let them have it, oh, y'all going back to the car. And you won't get nothing. Because this is my standard. This is how you act when we go in the store. No is no. And if you can't behave yourself in the store, we're going back, right? Or if you told them they can have something, but they have to earn it. This is how you earn it. And if they don't earn it, no is no. You're fine. You're fine. You don't have to be a passive parent. Okay? Follow your intuition. Set your standards for your kids. Okay? Believe in yourself. And be tough on them. Make them do things they don't want to do, but things that you know, once they do it, they're going to be way better off. That's what I've been doing for 20 years. That's what I've been doing for 20 years. There could be a million reasons why a kid don't want to move forward on something. They might be afraid of failure. They might not be used to success. They might be used to having control and saying what they're going to do and what they don't want to do. You know what I'm saying? They might be used to everybody helping them. So they haven't built up that muscle where they take initiative, they get in there and start getting it done. There could be so many reasons, but guess what? What I specialize in is kids being able to break through all of that and move forward and do what they're supposed to do, to the point where they're now starting to feel successful. And you want your child to feel successful. And they're not going to feel successful if you keep having your hands up and letting them, in their mind, make decisions about what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. And you being worried about them as a parent, so you let a lot of stuff slide. Okay? And I'll say one more thing, okay? Then I'm going to let y'all go. You have to decide what kind of parent your child needs at what time. Because your child might need the nurturing parent, right? Because I could be a nurturing parent that when you're sick, oh, I'm in there, I'm putting essential oils in your room, I'm making you soup, I'm making special tea for you, I'm rubbing the Vicks on you, you know what I'm saying? I'm giving you honey and spoon. My thing, I love honey, right? On a spoon every few hours, you know what I'm saying? I make you some ginger tea. I do all of this. My kids know that. But also, be respectful. Also, it's time to write. I got these workbooks for you. You understand what I'm saying? Also, well, I was about to say be respectful, but that's already the thing. So, if my kids get a little too out of control, they know I could, hey, get it together. Oh, I know you're not doing that. What did I say? You understand what I'm saying? But then I'm also a parent that'll be chilling, watching a movie with you, right? I got a projector in the room. We just be chilling together, watching Harry Potter together. You understand what I'm saying? Eating popcorn, having a good time, you know. I'm also that parent. Or Matilda, you understand? Or watching a dinosaur movie, like I'm that parent too. We be in the kitchen baking from scratch, put the music on, dancing in the living room. But hey, what did I say? Get over here. You understand what I'm saying? So whatever parent your child needs, you can be that parent. You don't have to be one type of parent, say, I'm supposed to be like, no, you're not. What kind of parent does your child need in the moment? And as for when I was a mental health specialist, yeah, I used to grab them out of the room, put them in there so they couldn't harm themselves and everything. And I was very stern with them, and I was fast. Because if you try to go slow, they want to fight you, and now you got another kind of problem. No, I was fast. I used to snatch them out of the room and bring them over there so fast they didn't even have a chance to fight. But by the time we got in that room, I would sit down, cross my legs, and I would read or do a crossword puzzle and let them know I'm here when you ready to talk. I'm here, screaming in there, getting all mad, cussing and everything. But when they calmed down and came over, I listened to them. I let them express how they felt. I had them think about the whole situation, what they could have done differently, you know, and what do they need to do now, and how do we fix this now, and whatever they wanted to talk about. I was there, you know. They wanted to cry. You understand what I'm saying? I was there, and I loved doing them. And now they got it. They apologized. They went back in the room, fixed it, put the chair back. Because I was just telling them, don't touch that chair. He going to fix it when he come back. Fix the chair, fix the table, apologize to everybody, sit down for the rest of the time and do what he's supposed to do. So you can be both, whatever your child needs. But whatever you do, just don't be a passive parent. That's all I'm saying. All right, I'm gonna let y'all go. Thank you so much for hanging with me. Hey, Jan, Jazzy J. That remind me of my oldest daughter, Jasmine. I call her Jazzy. Thank you so much for hanging with me today. Listen, y'all, I have my Mother's Day promotion going on for new students enrolling into the program. 2 free classes, okay? So you can experience, like I said, I'm a tutor and a coach, but I run my classes like a classroom. My tutoring session is like a classroom, okay? We do rules. They get to work. They write. They do writing. We do math. They read aloud. All my students read aloud. How else someone know how they read? Everybody has to read aloud, and they all want to read aloud. I teach a lot of kids how to read. So if your child is struggling with focus and behavior, if they're reading below grade level, struggling with math and motivation and, you know, doing what they're supposed to do, an environment where the kids are focused on doing their best and supporting each other and saying, you got this, man. Or saying, we don't say that. If a kid say, I don't know, the whole class will break out and be like, we don't say that. We say we got this. Like they know what's going on, right? Then send me a message, okay? And I'll hook you up with a free consultation in your first 2 free classes. I teach from 4 years old up to high school by parent request, okay? All right? Thank you so much. Love y'all so much. Thank you for hanging. We got this. Y'all hear me? We got this. We do what we got to do as parents so that our champions can be successful in the classroom and in life. All right? Love y'all so much. Believe in yourself. Believe in your child, honey. Always remember that growth is unlimited. And we got this. Peace.